Following a spectacular advance across northwest Europe, by December 1944, the Allies had begun to slow down, and Hitler chose this time to produce a counterattack. He built up 3 large armies and gave them tanks, artillery and rockets, and brought them to this very quiet sector, the Ardennes. This is the American cemetery at Henri-Chapelle, where some 8,000 United States dead are buried. Many of them were killed in the Battle of the Bulge. Our journey begins by following the route taken by SS Lieutenant Colonel Joachim Peiper and his battle group, coming into the attack with orders to bring terror to the battlefield. This is the road to Malmedy, a town in 1944 occupied by American troops who were desperately trying to escape in front of Peiper's battle group, coming down this road to make their way down to a little town called Ligneville. As the tanks crossed the open ground on our left-hand side, they opened fire on the American convoy, destroying half a dozen vehicles, causing many of them to ditch on the side of the road, and of course, coming across the fields, they were able to capture about 120 American soldiers. In the confusion after capturing the American convoy, Peiper has left the scene. He's gone on to Ligneville to try and capture an American general. His second in command is trying to recruit some American drivers to drive the American vehicles that are still operable, and when he fails to do that, he hands over to a junior officer with the order to shoot the prisoners. A tank crewman fired the first shot, and ultimately 85 American soldiers are going to die that day. Many more actually escaped a little later on, but these 85 are remembered with great reverence here by the local people on this wonderful monument directly at the site of the massacre. As Peiper's battle group continued towards Trois Ponts, their approach was through 2 railway bridges. As the first tank turned left, they were taken on by an American anti-tank gun. As that battle is going on, the bridge is blown, and so Peiper now realizes he's got to turn right, come up through La Glaise. Peiper is very close to his end game. He has many decisions to make. He's got to find fuel. His fuel levels are critical. He has to find a way that will take him down towards Weublemont and on towards the Meuse River. And he's being frustrated at every level by American attacks. First of all from the air, later on then from the army on the ground. And he has no other recourse than to pull back into the village. He's going to abandon most of his vehicles, and he's going to walk out with about 800 of his men. And finally, having reached the German lines, his battle, as well as the battle for 213, the Royal Tiger, is finally over. We're some 60 kilometers now south, and we're in the German cemetery at Racoin. In 1945, the American battlefield clearance personnel began to make a dual cemetery here for American and for German soldiers. And in 1946, early 1947, having made the decision to consolidate their battlefield cemeteries around the world, the Americans began to remove their battlefield dead. Following those removals then, the cemetery became much, much larger, and it now contains something like 6,500 German soldiers who lost their lives here in the Ardennes battlefield. Unlike 1944, it's now a place of peace and rest. A couple of miles away from the German cemetery at Racoin, and we're here in the Bois-Jacques woods. These positions were taken up by American paratroopers as they entered the battle for the defense of Bastogne. And they pulled back into permanent positions here in the woods to spend a very uncomfortable winter. Freezing cold temperatures, snow and frost on a daily basis, and of course you're miles away from any medical assistance. We can see some of the little foxholes that were dug by the men in an effort really to protect themselves, both from German attacks and also from the weather itself. And it's from these woods that the American paratroopers made their attack down the hill into Foy village. We're here at the Madrassen American Monument, overlooking Bastogne from a low hill. A monument really that was built to commemorate the courage and the bravery and the sheer cussedness of these American soldiers who defended this part of Belgium during the Ardennes battle. It's one of many of these monuments that you'll visit with leisure holidays when you travel with us on our Battle of the Bulge weekend.